Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, and maybe not the next month. Pero only one thing is true. I will be champion one day, I promise.
There are many reasons why someone might find themselves in the UFC octagon.
I said to my dad when I said, listen, by the time I'm 25 years old, I'm gonna be a self-made millionaire, and he laughed at me.
But sometimes fighters can find themselves in circumstances that can force their hand in one way or another.
I'm broke, so I need to fight.
Today, we take a closer look at some of the fighters who have found themselves compelled to fight, whether it's in search of a title, promotional pressure, or simply aging out of the sport. Let's examine exactly how some athletes have been forced to fight. How quickly does someone get a title shot in the UFC? Is it after a 9-fight win streak? Is it after 3 wins? Or even none? Well,
Tony Ferguson is an animal. Like that. He's the scariest guy at 155 in my word.
I agree.
Tony Ferguson amassed a remarkable 12-fight win streak from 2013 to 2019. Which remains one of the longest in UFC history.
Tony Ferguson's last 7 opponents. Jesus Christ.
They're all bloody messes.
Ferguson's winning streak included victories over several top contenders and former champions, such as Rafael dos Anjos, Edson Barboza, and Kevin Lee.
He's legit crazy.
Yes.
I don't know if he feels pain. That kind of crazy.
Despite his impressive performance within the octagon, Ferguson's career was marred by denied opportunities and unfortunate circumstances that prevented him from fighting for a unified world title.
Tore his knee because he tripped over a cord after that interview at Fox.
People will undoubtedly point out that Tony missed out on an opportunity for the title when he himself had to pull out due to an injury.
I got hurt twice.
Oh, okay.
One time I fucked up my knee. I tore my LCO, which that's the one where it's like I had a full cadaver reconstruction.
Yeah.
Bro, I always wonder, man, if Tony Ferguson just doesn't step on those wires and we get to see that fight, my God.
How? Yeah.
Because that was Tony Ferguson when he was the fucking boogeyman, when everybody was scared of him.
Yep.
But the fact still remains that many fighters were able to realize a unified world title opportunity having achieved far less.
You guys will really see what I went through. This was no easy task for myself. You guys have no idea. When you're hurt, how do you feel? You lay down, right? You take a second, you go, you take your vitamins, you do your thing. When I'm hurt, I love it. I love that feeling because it's real.
Perhaps it was because Tony was forced to fight so many times to earn his shot and had to go through so many training camps that he was so injury prone by the time he got there.
He said he works out a legitimate 6 hours a day. And he says he's running hills. They do these hill sprints, and he said he laps everybody.
Then there's Nate Diaz. After his loss to Leon Edwards in 2021, Nate Diaz was not shy about his desire to try his hand at boxing.
Is that something that interests you? A boxing match against Jake Paul?
Nah, not at the moment, no. But at some point, for sure.
This would, of course, mean that he would have to fight out the rest of his UFC contract. And the UFC weren't too keen on allowing one of their biggest stars to potentially go and sign with another promotion.
You guys aren't gonna let me go because I'm the best fighter here? And you're not gonna let me go unless it's off of somebody? I gotta make somebody for you?
It was speculated that the UFC wanted to give Diaz the toughest matchup possible, partly as punishment for the bad press in the past, but also to ensure he went out on a loss, so he would be less useful to other promoters.
Who does it feel like you're going to war with this week?
The organization.
So the UFC matched Nate up with none other than the UFC boogeyman himself, Khamzat Chimaev.
UFC wants to kill that guy, like how to do it. I say always I'm like killer, they pay for me and take his head.
I gotta make somebody for you? Well, all right, you're welcome, let's make you.
In a strange turn of events, Chimaev would miss weight, meaning Nate would actually end up facing Tony Ferguson on short notice.
Diaz has to thank God he didn't fight me, so.
To the Diaz Army's delight, Nate submitted Ferguson and found himself leaving the UFC on a huge win.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Speaking of the Diaz brothers, someone who felt forced to fight by the environment they found themselves in was Nate's brother, Nick.
I'd like to dedicate this performance tonight, this whole night, and everything to a few friends of mine that passed away. First off, a special girl, very special girl in my life, named Stephanie Wise.
She had walked and killed herself on the freeway
The girl I loved more than anything had tried to kill herself for the 3rd time and succeeded.
Growing up in Stockton, California was tough for Nick. He struggled in school both academically and socially.
Going to a school where it's not so hard, I really stood out as like a hardcore guy when I'm not so hardcore in a hardcore school. So it was just no fitting in anywhere.
He delved into growing up in Stockton and not having a father figure at home and having to take care of Nate and be the head of household.
With a lack of any real opportunity to escape his hostile environment, Nick reluctantly turned to fighting, as he had a natural propensity for martial arts.
He doesn't do MMA to be popular. Nick doesn't do MMA to get a pat on the back. Nick doesn't train and fight to get people's approval. Nick does it to survive.
In order to love fighting, I have to hate it. There's no loving this without hate.
Nick and his brother both went on to have storied careers in the UFC, but by the time Nate was able to cash in on the Diaz name, Nick had passed his prime and all but officially retired from the sport after being suspended for marijuana use multiple times.
Saying, oh, you're disregarding the sport, or you don't have respect for the commission and the sport. I'm like, well, hell no, I don't. I've been lying to you.
When he made his last comeback against Robbie Lawler, Nick said the training camp was rushed and he wasn't truly ready to make the return to the octagon, and it showed in both his physique and his performance. In a sad turn of events, Diaz now seems to be struggling with further issues outside of the cage.
This version of Nick and this version of Nick is cause for concern, right? It looks like he's lost a ton of weight, his skin is way more pale and has a sickly yellowish coloration to it, and his ability to construct basic sentences seemingly took a massive nosedive in less than a year's time.
And he is now making incredibly poor quality videos for fans on Cameo. One can only assume because he needs the money.
Happy 30th birthday. I hope you're doing well, training hard.
Sad to see from one of the realest in the sport. Following his hard-fought victory over Cejudo, Sterling showcased his grappling and striking prowess. Many expected him to take a well-deserved break to recover and strategize for his next opponent.
I get to have some downtime with my friends, actually create some memories outside of fighting. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
However, circumstances quickly shifted. The bantamweight division was rife with activity, and Sean O'Malley was emerging as a significant contender.
Get ready to come. You better look better than that.
Given his marketability and fan appeal, the UFC was eager to capitalize on O'Malley's momentum, which created pressure on Sterling to face him sooner rather than later.
Don't take the fight. We'll have somebody else fight. We'll do somebody else for the interim title. You know what I mean?
You don't want to fight, Aljo. You don't have to fight. I'm not forcing you to fight.
Sterling found himself at a crossroads. He had just endured a grueling match against Cejudo. Nonetheless, the urgency of the title picture, along with the promotional pressure, forced him to prioritize the fight against O'Malley, despite the quick turnaround.
Right now, hurts, so I don't know. We'll see. So you guys have this inside scoop. I'm gonna try to make this happen. This will be a sick, insane turnaround, but
Having not seemingly had the chance to prepare mentally and tactically, Sterling seemed frustrated in the fight, and while recklessly wading into range, Sugar Sean made him pay the price.
see, this is the difference. He stayed disciplined to his game plan, and I kind of let, I don't want to say emotions, but I kind of let.
In 2024, Alex Pereira stepped in on short notice multiple times to save numerous UFC cards, and has managed to do so in spectacular fashion.
When you have a champion like this, who seemingly can make the weight with relative ease on a couple of weeks' notice, there aren't that many champions on this roster that can, A, make the weight, and B, have the confidence to beat a #1 contender type on short notice.
Although it might be a stretch to say Alex Pereira has been forced to fight, it must be noted that the man is 37 years old, which could account for his desire to speedrun his legendary career.
Obviously, he had history with Izzy, but then he turned it around and he fought him again. And then he turned around, and after losing his belt in April, he was in a fight with Jan Blachowicz in July, right? And then he was back in the octagon in November. So it's like he's very consistent with his performances, and he is very active in terms of fight career.
At UFC 295 in New York City, the originally planned headliner between John Jones and Stipe Miocic was canceled after Jones suffered a pec tear in training. As a result, the matchup between Pereira and Jiri Prochazka was bumped up to the main event. Then there was UFC 300, in which Dana White was desperately trying to find a main event after it became apparent that Conor McGregor was not going to be able to make a return.
Last month it was announced you were headlining UFC 300 against Jamal, so I'm curious, how far in advance did you know, or were you surprised by the announcement?
I found out about it a few days before. We were supposed to be fighting at UFC 301 in Rio.
With many fighters declining the opportunity, Alex got the call to top the card against Jamal Hill and made yet another historic moment in MMA history. To add to the legend, Alex Pereira stepped in on short notice to headline UFC 303 to rematch Jiri.
And he's got, 2 weeks until the fight, and he's going to take on the samurai himself, Jiri Prochazka,
cementing him as Fighter of the Year. Whether it's his closing window for competition or simply an animalistic desire to fight, Alex Pereira has saved more UFC cards in a single year than most do in an entire career. In the unforgiving world of mixed martial arts, every fighter faces their own set of compelling circumstances that shape their journey in the octagon. Whether driven by the allure of a title, the relentless pressure of promotion, or the ticking clock of age, each athlete finds themselves navigating a landscape where fighting becomes more than just a choice. It's a necessity. The stories of these fighters reveal a stark truth. The pursuit of glory can feel like a relentless obligation, almost a calling, that often leaves them no room to pause or reconsider. In this arena, urgency and opportunity blend, compelling even the most accomplished competitors to fight when they may not feel ready. Ultimately, the heart of the sport lies in these struggles, a testament to the lengths athletes will go to prove their mettle and carve out their legacies.